What makes a character and character stage click and work? Is it because that character has amazing fireballs and mechas to go with it? Or is it a lot more to that? Or is it because that character has that cool factor that makes everybody pick and makes them want to choose that character? You decide. But there's a lot more that goes into the character and their cool factor. And one thing that stands above the rest is their amazing, cool, and iconic theme song. From the annals of Street Fighter, Ryu and Ken and Gao likewise, from Tekken and Tekken 6, and anything in between. Guilty Gear Strive, a lot of us and a lot of game fanatics have their own theme songs that go with their iconic mood and their character look. And now we will take a deep dive into what makes that theme song work and why a lot of gamers like their theme songs. From the annals of the King of Fighters and Fatal Fury likewise, one group emerges from the rest. The SNK Sound Team has been making theme songs and music for a lot of the characters. SNK likewise, from Samurai Showdown and Fatal Fury, and we will take a good look into what makes these theme songs work. From Terry Bogard's theme song in Fatal Fury 2 to Mai Shiranu's theme song in Fatal Fury 2, please hear the most iconic Mad Boss himself, Rudolph Bernstein, from his Tetsuchaku theme song to his Omega theme song. These guys have been making a lot of theme songs and it works for most of them. So now we will take a look into our favorite top 5 part 1 theme songs of King of Fighters and why have they been stayed for this long. There's only one way to make this theme song list work. And why? Because, well, it's something that most of us would actually love. From the iconic Estaca that made King of Fighters to Yagami's Arashi no saxophone, we take a good look into why this list matters. The King of Fighters Nest Saga. What a great way to start this one off. And one other one that we want to start off with is King of Fighters 2000. The opening title, entitled 00 for King of Fighters 2000, was the episode 6 that would define and break the company to their knees. This was one theme song that a lot of people would dare to hate, to forget, but love to remember. The theme song itself, as slowed back, would give you a really good initial feel. From the first time that the Nest Saga was introduced in King of Fighters 99, and the major success and bankruptcy that it faced, the new protagonist, K-Dash, had to go with something very cool. The King of Fighters 2000 opening theme displays a very cool look, with K-Dash going through most of the fighters and rivals that he'd be seeing. The 00 opening title of King of Fighters 2000 was the one that would captivate and sometimes leave a lot of gamers with a bitter taste in their mouth. No one would have guessed that the SNK group and the iconic music group would actually face bankruptcy. But lo and behold, they did not stop there. And one thing that most people will try and have mixed feelings about this is that King of Fighters 2000 really didn't have a good taste to it. But nonetheless, this is why this opening theme title makes the top 10 list, and it opens it up for something a lot more. Unfortunately, it couldn't be said the same for what it was actually used for its RPG game that King of Fighters All-Star had to be sacrificed for. But we'll leave that for another day, I presume. The first end of the King of Fighters Ash Crimson saga, the Tales of Ash Crimson, and the final boss, Mukai. This song really drove hearts everywhere, but it was a very confusing one. Stax, Mukai's theme song from King of Fighters 2003, really left a very intimidating and somewhat cruel and intensifying feel to the King of Fighters 2003. Mukai, the final boss of that game, really had to come up with a very intimidating theme song. And as you would see, his stage is where the Orochi seal would be placed. Stax was more than what it was at that time. And Mukai, pretty intimidating for himself as well. Mukai was no boss to be played with, and he was an unlockable, but lockable with a few more touches that actually he had. His intimidating stature and look and Heart of Stone would probably give a lot of people the scares nowadays. Like any other SNK boss, Mukai would really define and somewhat make sure that the SNK boss syndrome game mechanics would actually stay. Stax is one other theme song that would actually accompany this intimidating boss figure, and no one would rather feel like they would actually go after him, and with due reason. But with any other SNK boss syndrome, Mukai was one that you would actually make a real living with, and you would actually put him in a class of his own. Unfortunately, he doesn't pale in any comparison to many of their SNK bosses. But that was not the only time that we would see Mukai, because he would come back at King of Fighters in the King of Fighters 13 post credits cutscene with him, those of the past, and Ash Crimson's ancestor by the name of Psyche. Unfortunately, Mukai would actually meet his end. Why would we say this? Because, well, Mukai really didn't actually live to see his prime. So sorry, Mukai. It was meant to be, I guess. Now the one thing that really does a lot for this character is because he is iconic as the way SNK would intend him. And what more would we say about this character is Terry Bogard. Terry Bogard being the face of SNK at that time, and he's introducing with what made him big. Well, you decide. Big Shot Mellow was the theme song that was made for him, that is Terry Bogard, but unfortunately was made for Team Fatal Fury for King of Fighters 96, because let's be honest, SNK wanted SNK wanted a unique theme song to go for teams, and 96, for all of its reasons, was that game. Initially as a very pompous and cool laid-back team, Team Fatal Fury would win hearts because of one other character, and that man is Terry Bogard. Terry Bogard made waves and gave a lot of fans hope. And why? Because we love Terry Bogard. I mean, who wouldn't, to be honest? Rugai, the man that started the SNK Boss Syndrome in King of Fighters 94. And one of his theme songs, actually two of them, Ketchachaku R&D 1 and 2, and unfortunately in 94, but this one takes the cake. This King of Fighters 98's theme song, Triple X, really showcased his brutal might and why Rugal actually had to come back. Rugal, being a mild-mannered man, but unfortunately power was his name game, and the Omega side of himself was no other different. I say that this one really takes the cake, and unfortunately, why is it number 8? Well, unfortunately, there's a lot more. The America's Sports Team, the team of Heavy D, Lucky Glover, and Brian Battler. And what more can we say than to go back to 94 and give them their own. Slum number 5, the America's Sports Team for King of Fighters 94. Their theme song is as iconic as at that time football, basketball, and boxing was at its prime. There's nothing more that we could say. And unfortunately, this team, if it wasn't for their goofy nature, they would have made it far. But why would they make it far? Let's be honest, because this team is nothing more to be, well, satisfied. This team actually made a comeback with their iconic song in 98. But for their 94 song, I will actually give it to them. They really deserve this one. Hey, they wouldn't be called the America's Sports Team if they didn't have such an iconic theme song at that time. So why not give them something that actually goes for their theme song? It's only fair. The tail end of King of Fighters and the Orochi saga that started from 95 to 96 and 97. That intimidating look and that feel that Orochi would be around. Controlled crisis that was made for Orochi Yori and Wild Leona at that time was something to behold. You wouldn't know why it actually happened, but this was an iconic shot. To see Wild Leona become of the blood of Orochi, and Orochi Yori to actually see himself being engulfed by the ride of the blood. It makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, these two really made King of Fighters 97 to be as intense and banal as it should be. With a lot more that Orochi would be, there was a reason why. Because of what happened with Yori and the Yagami team ending in 96, it was more the explanatory reason that Yori had to be overcome with the Riot of the Blood and kill Mature and Vice. We thought that was the end. Orochi Yori would be born, and King of Fighters 97 would be the start of what was to be an entire deity in the Hakeshi clan. But what made this one matter is that Leona herself was also traced with the riot of the Orochi blood, and what more so than her father Gaidel, he was actually a part of what happened, and we see that Leona being gripped by the Orochi blood, it's something that makes a whole lot of sense. Yori and Leona, the control crisis, is what made King of Fighters 97 and why this actually sits at the top 6. Unfortunately, it didn't make the top 5, but it's still something worth more. I mean, listen to the iconicness of this song. It makes for a whole lot of sense. You decide. I'm just gonna let you to enjoy the mastery that is the song. Control Crisis is top 6 in the part 1 of the top 5 in itself to be what is to be. King of Fighters 97 was something more of a delight. Well, that was part 1 of my best top 5 King of Fighters theme songs. Let me know what was your favorite. Do you think that I left out any theme songs that you guys must have loved? Let me know. I'll be doing a part 2 of my top 5 King of Fighters theme songs. But let me know, like, share, subscribe, and we're doing this. GeekGhostGamerTop on the microphone. Check you guys later.